Greetings and welcome to the channel. My name is Dr. Nanajasi, transformational coach here at Inner Mileage, where we help folks understand the trauma basis of limiting self-beliefs and how to take inspired action to overcome it. Today we're going to talk about how to manifest your purpose, not your ego, and why empaths must stop proving and start transforming. So today's transmission is not about theory, it's about power. It's about your power. And we'll examine from the deepest layers of scholarship, spirituality, and science why you must stop trying to prove yourself and redirect your energy towards manifesting your purpose. And this distinction between proving and manifesting defines whether you remain trapped in outdated paradigms of ego-based validation or ascend into your sovereign, purpose-driven existence. So let's start at the beginning. Right? The trap of proving yourself. And in some cases, you can't escape it, but let's talk about it. So we know that in modern psychology, beginning with Freud's work on the ego and refined by Carl Jung's insights into the shadow self, identifies the compulsion to prove as a symptom of unresolved ego insecurity. Jung warned that when the shadow, which is the parts of ourselves we hide, repress, and deny, remains unconscious, it drives compulsive behaviors such as the desperate need to correct how we are seen. And when you go into neuroscience, research from UCLA's Social Cognitive Neuroscience Lab demonstrates that the anterior cingulate cortex activates when individuals experience social rejection or misunderstandings. This means that the impulse to set the record straight is not just psychological, it's neurobiological. And the anterior cingulate cortex, or ACC, lights up in empaths who perceive judgment, misrepresentation, or distortion of their intentions. And here's the transformational key. The transformational key here is that neuroplasticity allows empaths to rewire their brains away from this compulsion. And contemporary mindfulness research confirms that daily meditation reduces ACC hyperactivity and rewires the prefrontal cortex to enhance regulation and reduce reactivity. In other words, through self-regulation practices, you can transcend your addiction to proving yourself and direct your life toward creation. So let's go even further and even deeper. So in Hermetic philosophy, specifically in the Kabbalion, we understand that in the principle of vibration, it states that nothing rests. Everything is constantly moving. Everything is always at a place of movement. And egoic proven exists at a low vibrational frequency, entrapping you in third density consciousness, which is dualism, conflict, projection, and illusion. Purpose, however, vibrates at fifth density consciousness, where there is unity, clarity, coherence, and unconditional flow. And when you waste your energy on defending your identity or narrative, you bind yourself to the law of rhythm, which subjects you to constant oscillation between highs and lows. But when you move into alignment with your higher purpose, you harmonize with the law of correspondence, i.e., as above, so below. This means your outer world automatically aligns with your inner vibration without argument and without justification. And in the quantum realm, in quantum field theory, for example, the observer collapses the probability wave into a particle event, which is reality itself. And when you stay in proving mode, you collapse timelines that reaffirm ego struggles. And when you stay in purpose mode, you collapse timelines that manifest your highest identity. So let's go even further into the spiritual economy of energy conservation. So Buddhist economist E.F. Schumacher articulated that the true economy is not built on money, but on the efficient use of resources in harmony with life. And we expand this in spiritual terms. Energy, not money, is the true currency of your soul's journey. Therefore, every unnecessary explanation, every attempt to prove your worth or correct a perception leaks energy, which robs you of your focus, your coherence, and vibrational sovereignty. And esoteric traditions, including Taoist alchemy, recognize that energy conservation is the path to mastery. In other words, in the Tao Te Ching, it says, to preserve one's breath is to preserve one's life. So to go even further, in Vipassana meditation as taught by one of the great teachers, S.N. Goenka, noble silence is emphasized not as passivity, but as energetic containment, which is a refusal to dissipate pranic life force in idle speech or egoic correction. And when you choose strategic silence, you collapse all distractions and conserve energy for quantum leaps in transformation. In another way, you might want to start thinking about why empaths must stop proving. And we know that since 2020, humanity has entered a volatile era, which is marked by post-truth, relativism, digital addiction, hyper-performance culture, and algorithmic manipulation of intention. And in this environment, proving yourself to others becomes sort of a Sisyphean task, which is a perpetual cycle of fighting shadows. From the myth of Sisyphus pushing this rock up the hill. There's fighting cycles and shadows projected onto you by a society obsessed with perception management. But empaths, who are highly sensitive to energetic fields, suffer disproportionately in this paradigm. In other words, the gifts of discernment, intuition, and so forth get hijacked into defending themselves rather than manifesting Dharma. So to stop proving yourself is not to abandon communication or community, but to transcend the game entirely. So purpose itself becomes your transmission. And when you stop explaining and start manifesting, you collapse old world paradigms and inaugurate new realities. This is what it means to be a soul level disruptor in the real sense. And there's many ways you could do this in terms of manifesting how to be without proving. And if it could be of help to you, type transform in the comments section or book a free session on my website, innerknowledge.com. But I'll go through a few very quickly. Certainly, practicing deep silence every day can be very powerful, whether it's journaling or meditating and so forth. And there's enough data from Harvard's Mindfulness Research Center, for example, that shows that consistent breath work lowers cortisol levels, and which is the stress hormone, therefore a key to breaking that proven habit. Also doing an energetic audit to identify leakage points in your life, and use a journal list to list these scenarios consciously and rehearse responses rooted in purpose rather than ego. And of course, alignment visualization, aligning yourself to visualizations of your life as a multiverse of possible outcomes really pulls you out of this paradigm as well. So you realize that you collapse the quantum wave into your Heimer's timeline by acting from purpose, not ego. And in conclusion, we know that in the Gospel of Thomas, it provides one of the most succinct truths in the non-canonical Christian mysticism, which says, from the Gospel of Thomas, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. If you bring forth what is within you, what is within you will save you. This means that when you bring forth your purpose, not your defense mechanism, you align with divine inevitability. And in Japanese Zen traditions, the concept of mushin, no mind, describes this state where an empty vessel that becomes unstoppable because it is fully aligned and unblocked is the outcome. Likewise, the Egyptian concept of ma'at, which means truth and cosmic alignment, truth, order, cosmic alignment, reminds us that truth requires no defense because it is self-manifesting when aligned with purpose. This is what truth does. So let me leave you with this. You will know you're free when you no longer need to correct a record. You are no longer here to negotiate your worth. The record will correct itself because you're writing it through embodiment. You are here to manifest your mission. Remember to type transform, like, share, and subscribe, and keep in touch for our next video, and keep ascending. Peace.